enough to overlook his record. By the time I met Elliot, his offenses included vandalism, truancy, unprovoked violence, drunkenness, hiring an imposter to take a standardized test, and blackmail. He was 13 years old. It's strange we crossed paths, but it's even stranger that we became best friends. Glendale was a small school, and it was getting smaller every year. The 3 long tables in the cafeteria could accommodate about 60 students, but there were only 41 in my 8th grade class. When we ate lunch, the 20 most popular kids sat at the back table, and the next 20 squeezed into the middle table. I sat at the 3rd table. Now, I'm sure that if I wanted to, I could have wedged myself into the middle table. I'd done it once by turning my tray sideways. But the truth is, I liked the 3rd table. It was spacious, quiet, and as far as I was concerned, perfectly located. Most students treated lunchtime as a social activity, but I preferred to think of lunchtime as a kind of contest, the goal of which was to drink as many chocolate milks as possible. I didn't consider lunchtime a success unless I had consumed at least 5 cartons. At any other seat in the cafeteria, this would have been an impossible dream. But by positioning myself within 10 feet of the lunch lady and working closely with her, I could accomplish this feat almost every day. I was working on carton number 3 one afternoon when I noticed that Elliot was sitting right beside me. He had no food in front of him, just a large black notebook. I hadn't seen Elliot since he had inexplicably pushed me down the stairs 4 days ago, on his very first morning at Glendale. I assumed he had sat down next to me in order to apologize, but by the time I went up for my 5th chocolate milk, it was clear he had no intention of doing so. He never once looked in my direction during the meal. Instead, he just stared at his notebook, noisily scratching the pages with a razor-sharp fountain pen. He sat next to me at lunch the following day, and the day after that, and both times it was exactly the same. He never spoke to me or even looked at me. He just sat there writing. Sometimes he ripped a piece of paper out of his notebook, crumpled it up, and tossed it onto the floor. And once in a while he snapped his fingers before jotting something down with a flourish. I thought about asking him what he was working on, but it seemed important, and I didn't want to interrupt. It didn't occur to me until years later that he might not have been working on anything. All that scribbling and crumpling and snapping, that was Elliot's way of saying hello. Whenever there was a physical altercation between 2 students, both of them got detentions, regardless of who started it. The policy seemed unfair to me, but I didn't see any point in arguing with teachers. And besides, I didn't really mind detention. It was only an hour long, and Ms. Pearl, the elderly librarian who supervised it, let us each take 2 pieces of Laffy Taffy from her bowl at the start of every session. School felt crowded and claustrophobic, but detention was usually empty except for me, Ms. Pearl, and whichever boys had attacked me over the course of the week. It was a peaceful environment, and sometimes, during stressful weeks, I actually looked forward to it. Occasionally, Ms. Pearl made us fill out detention forms, but I knew from experience that nobody actually read them, so I never spent much time on them. Name, Seymour. Grade, 8th. Offense, fighting. Describe what happened. I was standing by my locker, humming a song from the radio, when Lance came over and started fighting me. What have you learned from this experience? Apparently, humming is one of the things that sets Lance off and makes him want to fight you. What could you have done differently? Nothing. How do you plan to modify your behavior? I will try not to hum around Lance. There was a lot to like about detention. The quiet, the candy, but the best part was that Jessica was there. During the school week, I only caught glimpses of her. She was always surrounded by